One very effective streamer pattern in Western North Carolina is John Barr's Slumpbuster. Here's our take on it. We're going to start by placing a gold cone on either a 2 to 3x long nymph hook, such as this one, or on a 3 to 4x long streamer hook. Either way, the fly will fish the same. Once you have the cone on there, go ahead and tie on with your thread. I'm making an olive Slumpbuster, so in this case I'm going to use olive thread. You can use whatever color thread you like. Doesn't matter, it's your fly. After I've tied on, I'm going to lay down a thread base, trying to touch turns as best as I can. I'm going to wrap right to the back of the hook shank and stop. Then I'm going to take some of this Hairline mini flat fly braid in yellow gold, and I'm going to take it and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to split out the ends on one of the ends of it just so it's frayed. And this is going to make a nice little undertail for me, just to provide a little flash. And I just want it sort of short, hanging in the back. And I'm just going to tie that down. A couple turns of thread, one in front to lock it down. Then I'm going to put the length of my flat braid into my material clip, which is, I think, out of your screen there. Once I've done that, we're going to put a little pine squirrel zonker tail on here. I've got the whole pine squirrel hide here. Poor critter. I'm going to pop off one of these zonker strips, and I'm going to tie it in with the tips going back. And I'm going to tie the tail in about the same length as the hook shank plus the undertail. So once I've estimated that length, I'm going to split my fur fibers apart like that. And I'm just going to come in there, lay it right there on the base of that tail, and lash that down. A couple turns on top, making sure it stays right on top of the hook shank. A couple turns in front. That one's a little rolly. There we go. Then I'm going to wrap up kind of into the middle. Now I'm going to put in some gold wire. This is brassy. I bought almost all my wire in brassy except for my midge stuff. Brassy is a pretty universal size. And I'm just going to tie that in forward a little bit. Wrap right to the base of the tail. And then come back up to the front of the fly, right in behind the cone. Once I've done that, I'm going to wind my flat braid forward for my body. And this is gold. I really like the gold and olive combo. You don't have to use gold. You can use white, you can use olive, you can use black, you can use red, you can use whatever you want to. Don't get locked in to you have to use a certain color or a certain material for a fly pattern. Once you put that hook in the vise, it's your fly. So you make it how you want it. So once I've wrapped my flat braid forward, I'm going to take my squirrel zonker. I'm going to bring it right over the back of the fly. I'm going to come right behind the cone and split the fur apart and bring that thread right onto the leather and just pull it right down in behind the cone like that. Couple wraps over, couple wraps in front. You don't have to go nuts because we're going to lock it down with this gold wire. But you're going to leave it hanging there because we're not done with our critter yet. Now, let's take the gold wire and we're going to counter wrap it forward, making sure to weave it in between the fur fibers of our zonker strip. You can see I have a really long piece of gold wire. I recommend not having your gold wire quite that long. Makes it a little bit harder to work with. I just got a little hasty when I pulled out of the spool. So once I have it up behind my cone, we're just going to lock that down. And then simply break it off. And now we're going to take that squirrel strip that we left hanging out up there, and we're going to wrap it in behind our cone. And try your best when you're wrapping this thing not to cause the squirrel strip to roll around on the back there. Check my cone, make sure it's tight. And then I'm going to take my thread and weave it in between those fibers. And bring it right in behind the cone. Lock that down like that. Throw a quick whip finish. Don't trim your scroll strip yet. You want to make sure that this is nice and tight. What you don't want to do is cut this thing and then have exposed threads or leather. And you can see I don't really love that. So I'm going to pull it in just a little bit tighter. I've got this one just wound up super tight. I think that's going to be alright right there. I just wanted to tighten that squirrel strap down just a little more. And now, thinking about throwing another whip finish before I trim, but I'm just going to go ahead and trim that bad boy right there. Take my scissors, force the tip of the leather up under the cone. And now, maybe throw an additional whip finish in there. Just one little one. Just to snug it up tight. And that's a Slumpbuster. Simple to tie, simple to fish.